Tonight,
it drags down an entire neighborhood.
Some residents in north central Regina want the city to do more when it comes to boarded up houses. Also, rentable e-scooters are now available in Regina and Saskatoon, but their arrival has not come without growing pains.
I did not wear my helmet when I rode the e-scooter because I was afraid to get head lice.
Plus, we introduce you to a local martial artist who's showing off his stunt work on the big screen and on YouTube with his daughters.
This is CBC Saskatchewan News.
It is Tuesday, July 4th, and the CBC Saskatchewan News starts right now. Good evening and thanks for watching. The city of Regina is making strides toward addressing derelict properties, but many of the rundown homes are located in North Central, and residents are tired of it. Nicholas Frew has the story.
On a walkabout in Regina's North Central neighborhood, Councillor Andrew Stevens says derelict houses are more than an eyesore.
In this neighborhood, if a building is set on fire, it could in the past sit there for months, if not years. It drags down an entire neighborhood. It makes people feel unsafe.
Stevens says bylaw officers are taking action, but the city says there were 146 boarded up properties in the area as of April.
Sadly, we're at a point where people would rather see houses demolished than have them turn into blight and nuisance properties that negatively affect the entire block.
The city's community standards bylaw lays out rules around how property owners must maintain their land and houses and penalizes those who don't comply. But what the bylaw defines as a nuisance can be controversial. Experts say they decrease the value of neighboring properties and create unsafe environments.
All of these back ones are boarded and have been for a little while here.
The city says landowners are supposed to make repairs within 90 days, but the time frame can be extended depending on the circumstances. This resident says those delays are a problem.
When you get an empty house and if it sits empty for a long time, that puts stress on all the neighbors. So like everybody else who's living there, you kind of have to watch out for it because nobody wants that to be broken into.
Some people use the derelict houses for shelter, inviting the risk of fires. Others may steal things like copper wiring, which opens the possibility for explosions. They also add to the stigma around places like North Central. Erin Bruce moved to North Central with her family several months ago. She noticed the dereliction before the move, but is stunned by how many homes there truly are.
You would never see anything like that in Cathedral neighborhood, and it's the same ward. So how is it that we have so many issues and homeowners that aren't being addressed?
The city says 22 properties were demolished throughout Regina last year, including 15 in North Central, and there are more being torn down this year. But Bruce wants to see demolitions and repairs made more quickly because she says the dereliction makes the neighborhood feel neglected by the city. Nicholas Frew, CBC News, Regina.
RCMP say the search for a missing kayaker on Buffalo Pound Lake is now over. Mounties first received a report about a tipped-over kayak at Sandy Point Beach on Sunday afternoon. The dive team searched the area yesterday and found the man's body in the water near where he was last seen. He's been identified as a 25-year-old from Moose Jaw. RCMP say the coroner continues to investigate. There's a good chance you've already seen one of these new e-scooters in Regina and Saskatoon, and while they are proving popular, not everyone is thrilled with them. Alexander Kwan took a ride and brings us the story.
E-scooters are finally available for rent in both Regina and Saskatoon. All it takes is a phone, a credit card, and a few minutes for me to get on my way. While these new e-scooters have been very popular in both Regina and Saskatoon, they're not without controversy. In Regina, where these scooters were introduced just last week, it has become common to see e-scooters left at the side of the road. The cities of Regina and Saskatoon have made it clear that it's up to the companies, Bird and Neuron, to round up any wayward vehicles. And while the companies say they have teams that go collect the scooters, one resident says he took his first spin after he found an e-scooter just lying on the ground.
I left my car here, so I was walking to my car and I saw one of the bars, so I was dropped off somewhere over there, so I just took it and just came here within 5 minutes, so that was pretty cool.
Another concern is a lack of helmets, something that everyone is required to wear by the province.
So police do have the ability to ticket somebody not wearing their helmet while on an e-scooter, just as they have the ability to ticket somebody not wearing a helmet if they were riding a motorcycle.
And while every scooter comes with an attached helmet, that option hasn't won everybody over.
I did not wear my helmet when I rode the e-scooter because I was afraid to get head lice.
It's not as sanitary as bringing your own helmet if you have one, right? So
the cities refer complaints to the companies, but they're not obligated to release that information. Last week, Neuron said a few riders have been banned after violating the rules. Both companies say they expect rules to be followed.
I think, this is going to be rare and rarer throughout the course of the program of people not abiding by the local rules and regulations.
In Saskatoon, the e-scooters are a 2-year pilot project, but both cities want feedback from the public as riders zip around, racking up thousands of kilometers on the scooters. Alexander Kwan, CBC News, Regina.
Talks to try and end a strike at ports in BC are paused right now. That was the word today from the association that represents maritime employers. About 7,000 workers who handle cargo at the ports have been off the job since Saturday. And if the strike drags, it could have an impact countrywide. Susanna De Silva has the latest.
Both sides of the dispute are accusing the other side of not bargaining in good faith or trying to reach a fair deal. And as the accusations fly, though, 30 ports in BC remain at a standstill, including here at the Port of Vancouver, Canada's busiest, where the port says 1 out of every 3 Canadian trade dollars outside of North America passes through. And in the meantime, businesses who rely on imports or exports say they are worried about costs and supplies.
Well, Canada imports a remarkably large amount of consumer goods. So virtually any consumer good, ranging from packaged food through apparel and electronics. Essentially, most major stores will have significant quantities of imported goods.
We spoke to a trucking company today who says for now they are keeping their drivers on call, paying their staff, because they're afraid if they let them go, they will go to another company or go work somewhere else, and then they will have a hard time replacing them. But they said if this strike continues for a long time, there will come a point where they may have to adjust that. The BC Maritime Employers Association says the union's proposals for compensation are unreasonable, and bargaining at this time is not going to produce a collective agreement. It pointed out the average salary for longshore workers last year in BC was $136,000 plus benefits and pension. The association is urging the union to change its position, while the union says the employer is not making real efforts to negotiate and wants to leave the government to legislate the workers back on the job. For now, the federal government says it is focused on the bargaining table and the federal mediators that they have brought in. Susanna De Silva, CBC News, Vancouver.
Alberta is dealing with hot, dry weather with no signs of change anytime soon. The lack of rain is making it especially tough on farmers and ranchers. Aaron Collins has more on the problems and the push for help.
Here in southern Alberta, the ground is hard to touch. The soil parched from too much heat and not enough rain this season. So far this year, the wait for moisture has been as long as the coulees that run through this part of the province. That means there's little for cattle to eat as they graze in pastures here. And it means tough decisions loom for this 5th-generation rancher.
You have to take some pretty drastic measures. When you don't have grass to graze, there's nothing to eat for the cows. And so you have to start considering things like alternative feed sources. So either buying feed in or grazing hay crops or cash crops, or destocking, selling your animals and just getting rid of them so they're not your responsibility.
Well, this part of Alberta is used to dry weather, but even here, this year seems extreme. The 4th year in a row of drought here in the south of the province. The run of dry weather has some ranchers calling for government support, similar to crop insurance, to survive moving forward. And water experts say that climate change means longer, hotter, and drier weather is likely the new normal in this part of the world.
We are currently seeing an increased rate of droughts that are happening here in southern Alberta, and also more intensification of drought compared to the past couple decades.
It's a problem for grain farmers in southern Alberta too. Warmer weather means a longer growing season. But without water, actually growing anything is nearly impossible.
We probably won't take any crop off of here. These plants have started, but they've got no moisture to chase down. And you can see a few places where there was a bit of moisture, that whole field should be yellow. and we have nothing but dry dirt. So, yeah, that means hopefully we get some insurance coverage.
The farmers here are trying to use advances in irrigation and specialized crops to fight back against drier weather, but it's an uphill battle. A fight that will get more challenging as the climate continues to change here on the prairies. As drier, hotter summers become more extreme on Canada's prairies, experts say agriculture producers will need to adapt in order to continue to feed the country and the world. Aaron Collins, CBC News, near Iron Springs, Alberta.
Meanwhile, it feels more like fall out there than the start of July in Saskatchewan, but it doesn't look like these growing goslings in Saskatoon mind. Might be a little chilly for humans to be out swimming today, though. So when does the heat return? Ethan will have the answer in his forecast after the break. Stay with us. The tornado that tore through the Didsbury area north of Calgary on Saturday has been officially classified as an EF4. That's the second highest rating there is and makes it among the strongest ever recorded in Canadian history. Investigators from Environment and Climate Change Canada and the Northern Tornadoes Project say maximum winds of 275 kilometers an hour were recorded. In all, 12 homes were hit. 3 of them were flattened, 4 were left uninhabitable, and another 5 were damaged. Only 1 person was slightly injured.
This weather update is brought to you by Mercedes-Benz Regina, proud member of the Capital Automotive Group.
And our weather specialist Ethan Williams joins me now with a look at your forecast. No severe weather here, just cold.
Oh yeah, it feels like fall today. Hello, September 4th compared to July 4th. But just how cold was it in Regina today? If we take a look at our stats, this was actually the coolest day we've had since May 26th. We were 16 degrees today in the Queen City. We were also 16 degrees on May 26th. It's also, May 26th was the last time that we had a daytime high below 20 degrees. In fact, through the entirety of June, all 30 days, we had a daytime high above 20 degrees, and that is the first time that has ever happened in recorded history in the month of June in Regina. Records going back about 140 years. That according to Rolf Campbell, who keeps that data on Twitter and keeps weather records for communities across the country. Saskatoon, we did almost as well. We had about 29 out of 30 days in June above 20 degrees. The only day where it was below 20, coincidentally, was the first day of summer. Now, in terms of the record, Rolf Campbell actually doesn't keep records for Saskatoon, unfortunately, but we do know that that's the most above 20 degree days in the month of June in Saskatoon in the past 15 years or so. Today in Saskatoon was the coolest day that we've had since May 25th. We did get to 18 degrees, but these temperatures are pretty uniform across the province, and they are chilly, especially as you head into portions of southeastern Saskatchewan. These are normals for September compared to July. A little bit warmer on the western side of the province, closer to around 20 degrees. And yes, with this cold weather, we are expecting some frost tonight. That is a possibility in portions of the northern grain belt from Meadow Lake through to around Prince Albert, Melfort, Nipawin, Tisdale area, even eastward toward Hudson Bay. No advisories in place, but good night to put the blankets on the plants outside or bring them inside. Last average frost date for this area is around the end of May, and the first fall frost date is the beginning of September, so we are far from either one of those. Now, things have been breezy as well in portions of eastern Saskatchewan today. Gusts still in the 40 to 50 range, but that's all about to change. We're about to have high pressure take over our weather here over this next little while. As that begins to move in overnight tonight and tomorrow, we will see clearing conditions. Northern Saskatchewan impacted a bit by a passing low pressure system that could bring through some non-severe thunderstorms tomorrow afternoon. That'll slide into the Churchill region through tomorrow evening, but south and central remaining under high pressure for the next while and remaining clear as a result, and warming up as well. Wind gusts largely staying in the 20 to 30 range. Not going to see those be picking up all that much. Now, as for our warm-up, Regina, it will happen quite quickly heading into Thursday. We'll have to watch for some isolated thunderstorms potentially for the Rider game. After that, temperatures dropping slightly for Friday, but then a gradual warm up as we begin to head into next week. Again, things not only warming up, but the wind's not expected to get too strong, and those sunshiny conditions looking to be staying around for us. Saskatoon will be pretty much close to normal for this time of year. Over this next little while here, lots of sunshine, those overnight lows back into the double digits, and lots of sunshine as well. And so a night here, Sam, of some possible frost, but not going to be a problem as we head into next week.
All right. Thanks, Ethan.
You're welcome.
Well, it is Independence Day in the United States, the 4th of July. And for food enthusiasts, that means one thing: the hot dog eating contest on Coney Island. The goal is to eat as many as possible in 10 minutes. The women's winner was no surprise. Mika Sudo has won 8 times before. She forced down 39.5 francs, 9 short of her record. She'd hoped to get 50, but said the heat and humidity held her back. The men's winner, also a repeat champion with 62 hot dogs in 10 minutes. Joey Chestnut took his 16th win. We'll be back after the break. A Regina actor has landed gigs across North America thanks to his martial arts skills. Jason Truong has worked as a stuntman on major film and TV sets. But as freelance contributor Aaron Sinclair shows us, it's shooting YouTube skits with his daughters that makes Truong cherishes the most.
Younger Jason would be actually surprised of how far this kind of went. When I was a kid, I was like, well, there's no hope to be like in the movies. You know, that's a dream. You gotta go to LA, you gotta go to Toronto to do this. Acting has always been my passion to begin with. No pun intended, but I kind of fell into stunts accidentally, actually. So I sort of over time just built a name for myself to be like an actor who can also do stunts. Come on down. So this is our little domain. So usually what we do is set up obstacle courses for them to kind of, see what they have in terms of agility and flip around and jump. Unlike most parents, I tend to encourage them to jump off furniture for some silly reason. So dive over this, run around the chaise, and then roll off onto this front here. Okay, go ahead. Yeah, and run on the side and roll off the chaise. Yeah, there you go, good. Now leapfrog. Ready, go. And dive. Okay, so try keep it a smooth motion. Okay, this guy, get your footing out. Dive and go. For me, getting the girls, like having 3 daughters, this is kind of a silly goal, but in my head I'm more like, well, daddy can't always be there to protect the girls, right? I'm a 3rd degree black belt in Hapkido. So Hapkido is a Korean martial art. To me, it's a blend of Taekwondo with Aikido. So you have like the really flashy kicks of Taekwondo, but you have a lot of joint manipulations like wrist throws and hip throws and joint locks and all that kind of stuff. It's a really good martial art for film because you have the really, really flashy stuff, but you also have like, being able to throw people and being really brutal with it. So it's a good foundation for that kind of stuff. My job is to do the stunt safely. A lot of people say, well, the stunt people are just like people who are like just daredevils, whatever, and that's kind of a misnomer because we can't have like the actors fall and hurt themselves. So a lot of times in a fight, the stunt performer is actually the person who keeps the actor safe as well. Like, so I'm attacking them, but I'm kind of making sure that they don't fall and hurt themselves as well, right? When I prepare for a role, there's actually more to it than just taking the fall, right? Especially when you're doing fight scenes. If the character doesn't know how to fight, there's a certain way they move. If the actor does know how to fight, there's a certain way they move as well, right? How does the character fall? Because if you're the stunt double, you have to fall and move like that person as well, because otherwise it just stands out like a sore thumb. Good guy or bad guy, I find pleasure in both of them. The good guys, obviously, everyone wants to cheer for the hero, but there's something about being the bad guy that, people root against.
My name's Olivia and I'm 11 years old. And my name is Ayla and I'm 9 years old.
The girls, unfortunately, are my daughters, and so they are stuck with my crazy old dad who likes to be like, hey girls, I got an idea for a skit.
We did this video of us trying to take the high shoes, and then we were fighting, and then after Kai just grabbed the high shoes and ran away with them.
Because it allows me to see where they're at in their training, gives them some cool skills, being on camera, getting them comfortable and stuff. And it's just fun. The kids love it, it's, I hope.
It's fun to make little videos because it's kind of like family time.
2, 3. I want them to be super confident in everything they do. So stuff like being strong in front of the camera, being not worried about what people think, being able to stand on their own feet is really, really important to me.
I want to get my black belt, and then I want, when I get older and then I have a family, I want my family to do it too. Me too.
Main thing is super proud of my girls. So thanks for bearing with Daddy as I put you on camera a lot. So hopefully you're enjoying it. But, that's part of being a daughter of a stuntman. Yeah, it's kind of cool to be able to do this stuff. So don't give up on your dreams. There's always something there for you to do.
And after that, Ethan is back with one last look at your weather. No stunts in this one.
My whole body is sore after watching that. There's no way. You may want to do some stunt work to keep warm tonight in portions of Saskatchewan. We're looking at overnight low tonight around 9 in Regina, but by the time we get to tomorrow morning, looking at mainly sunny skies. It'll be at 12 degrees. There will be a warm-up happening, thankfully. Those winds going to be remaining light tomorrow, thanks to high pressure beginning to move in. And by the afternoon, look at that, back over 20 degrees, hopefully through the afternoon, those west winds at about 20 kilometers an hour. Saskatoon, again, I think we'll stay out of the frost risk tonight. It's just to the north of you where we're going to be seeing that. Mostly clear skies, and then heading into tomorrow, sunny skies, 12 degrees, light winds, and the same case for the afternoon. We will be also right around 20 with those nice light winds. So a little bit of frost tonight, Sam, but once we get through that, smooth sailing and warmer temperatures.
All right, thanks, Ethan.
You bet.
And before we leave you tonight, as we mentioned, the hot dog eating contest on Coney Island today is a July 4th tradition that started over a century ago. But the big question about hot dogs goes back even further. Get ready for the great debate. Is a hot dog a sandwich?
Oh, is a hot dog a sandwich?
It's bread and meat. And you put the bread, and then the bread, and everything else is in between. It's a sandwich.
A hot dog?
Yeah.
No.
Why not?
No. No way. Not in the sandwich.
It is filling with bread on either side. On 3 sides even. That's like extra sandwich.
Yeah, of course. Like, what are the options? What else would it be?
Do you think that a hot dog is a sandwich?
Absolutely, and I've had this debate before.
I'd have to say no.
I think it's the hardest question I've ever been asked in my life.
A hot dog is sort of like a 3-sided sandwich. You know, the bun comes from the bottom and the sides.
I do think that a hot dog is a sandwich. I think it meets all the criteria. It's surrounded by bread, it's got meat, it's got vegetables if you really stretch the concept of ketchup. I think it's a sandwich.
It's a different form. It's an old form that is, God, I don't know.
I don't think it's a sandwich.
Why not?
Because it's a single piece of bread. It's got to be cut in 2.
All right, thank you.
You're very welcome.
And the debate in your house will now continue for the rest of the evening. That is it for us tonight. For news anytime, you can head to cbc.ca/sask or subscribe to our YouTube channel. Ethan and I will be back with more local news at 11. Thanks for watching and have a great night.